This is surreal for me. To stand in front of all of you and look into all your faces is a real, real gift to me from God Himself. I had never imagined something like that would happen. I had just wondered, how in the world am I going to say goodbye to all my dear people? Because I can't offer all of you in my home. And how would I do this? Because I love all of you so much. And when I look around and I see all the faces and I know them by name, I feel really special that God has permitted me to do this, because this is an assignment that is a little bit difficult, as you can imagine, but I did not know how to do it otherwise. So I love you all very, very much. And I come into your prayer so that we can spend the next little while together, hearing what God wants to say. And so I want to take you on to let you take me to the Music Academy, where I was in my little story corner twice a week with my little kids. And when they would come in rather noisily, I would say, I want you to sit down, I want you to close your eyes, I want you to fold your hands, and I want you to come totally quiet, so that your heart can actually sing and remember the songs that we sing and the words that we want to exchange. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O God. Those who know me for a long time have known me talk about home again and again and again. In fact, home has been my leitmotif, if you will, has been my anchor since birth. And it is anchored in Psalm 90, where it says, "O God, you have been our home from generation to generation." And it goes on to compare the frailty of man with the eternity of God. And it is this God, home to all that is finite and infinite, who sends His Son into this world where homelessness has been the tragedy right from the beginning, right into our own days, in ever-increasing measure. Even before birth, Mary and Joseph, it was not the kind of couple we think of, whose hearts come together and then wait for a child. Here's Mary struggling and reflecting on God, wants to say to her, or has said to her. And Joseph struggling, where in the world am I going to fit into all of this? And then the word of God comes to him specifically. Not all of the Old Testament, just the words that pertain to him. And he picks up that call and they begin to run, literally for their life, into a foreign land, a foreign language, foreign food, never a certainty that they can ever come back. And if they come back, it is more and more of the uncertainty. Until one day at age 12, Jesus comes into his own. And he's in the temple. And he begins to experience an awareness of who he is and where and to whom he belongs. As he replies to his mother, "Don't you know? Don't you know that I must be in my Father's house?" And he begins to see that God is the home, even his home on this earth. But the homelessness continues. Right up to where he says, the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Right to the cross, where he finally says, into your hands, oh God, I commit my spirit. I've come home. My own 77-year-old journey includes a whole lot of that homelessness. Separated from my mom, even at age 3, because of TB and lack of food and lack of medicine. I remember even in my small heart that there couldn't be a God, because why would I be so alone with my dad fighting somewhere? But when through the grace of God I come home, I make my mother my home. And I begin to understand that it isn't a house, it is a person. And I express that again in my book. Home is where the heart is. And soon we are thrown out of our own house. You don't live here anymore. And right up to our knees in snow, my mother and 4 children, my oldest brother through a tragic threshing accident, the night having no feeling, his legs are gone. And here we stand, prosthesis and all in the snow. Mama, where do we go from here? Oh God, you have been our home from generation to generation. And our now shelter, because the home is always with us, God and my mom. And it is in the forest, and it is behind barbed wire, and it is in a small bathroom, and it is everywhere until finally the Russian voice comes thundering through. We are the boss over here, all the sick, all the old to the west. And my Jake comes to my mom, Mama, look, this is me. We can go. And Mama cries and she says, the burden we bear sometimes becomes the bridge over which we walk to freedom. But the freedom doesn't last, because Stalin and Churchill have declared that all Russian-born will return to Siberia, which is Mom and Dad. And so we run again. And we find a people called MCC. Never heard of Mennonites in my life before. And miracle upon miracle, the leader of this is my mother's American-born first cousin. And he brings us to Gronau, where he says, there are ships waiting to take you far away from Siberia. But again, it isn't us, because Canada doesn't want any handicapped, nor ex-soldiers. And so we end up in the jungle. And again, we cannot talk about a house. It is just a shelter first of branches. And then through the grace of God and my father, our home was still with us, not a house. But my mom and dad and millions of other children had neither one of them. And like Hagar in the desert, we wonder, where is our water going to come from? Is God going to show us where? And 21 meters deep by hand and shovel, we find water for ourselves, for the village, for our animals. Too long to all recount, except to say that in this Abbotsford, people come and pick berries and pay for us to come here. And I meet my dear Ben. And at that point, I transfer my home to my dear Ben. From my mom to my Ben. And we have to say, God, thank you with our feet. And we start moving with the MCC, who's been so much and meant so much to us. And we come head to head with a brand new world in Algeria, where the cyclical worldview stuns us, where everything goes around and around and around without ever ending. And to deviate from this norm of whatever has been shall be, it is fatal to deviate. And I begin to understand Isaiah 43. Through all of this, don't be afraid, Anneliese. I've called you by name. You are mine. And when you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown, because you're precious to me and I love you. And it goes on, and it says, I am the Lord who opens the way through the waters, making a path right through the sea. And when I look at all of what happens and what happened, God says in verse 18, but forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I'm going to do. For I'm going to do a brand new thing. See, I have already done. I will make a road right through the wilderness of this world for my people to come home. All of us to come home. Come home. And this homecoming starts by God calling not the whole world, calling one man at a time, Abraham. And he says, Abraham, I want you to leave your people. I want you to leave your country. I want you to leave all your gods. And I am going to put you on a tightrope through life. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And finally, we in the West have not lived any other way, but in this linear worldview that has a beginning and has an end. And not just any beginning, because it says, in the beginning, God. God is the beginning, and God is the end, and that is my comfort. And so Abraham begins to be, like Henry now calls him, the tightrope walker, with a focus always on God, the catcher, who in the end is the only one that matters, not even who walks, but the one who will catch us. And how often does Abraham fail? But the Bible talks about Abraham believing God. And it is this belief, and it is this faith that is counted as righteousness before God. And it is said that he becomes God's friend. What a better partner. What a greater comfort undergirding him. What a safety net for him. But he still has the job to balance. He has to balance himself, that is his job, and not to take his focus away from the capture. Because when he does, I nearly said he's toast. There's nothing left except for the God of the roses. We too, by design, for this short journey, become the tightrope walker. To focus and focus and focus. So it is up to us, before night, to repair our nets, our relationships. First of all and foremost, with the one we love. Ben said at one point, you know, Anneliese, I'm not going to wait anymore to say sorry. We don't have much time left. That's just a good idea. So that we can just come to grips with whatever might separate us. And we can live together and sleep together and wake up together with our children, with our grandchildren. And I'm so incredibly grateful that I have that safety net. And so I want to read for you a couple of things. First, a poem written by my very young friend. I translated it to English. Roads. Perhaps even death is part of my road. Even though my step becomes uncertain, my future hazy, unclear. Perhaps in death we experience what has been part of us all our lives. Great transformations, always coupled with uncertainty and fear. The great leap from childhood to youth and then adulthood. Perhaps death is nothing other than the final transformation. As before, immaturity gave way to greater understanding. Perhaps something similar awaits us. Perhaps death is the last great adventure. No need to fear. The road itself continues. Like a red thread grounded in everything. Recognized and unrecognized. God is the road. I'm on my way. Also, because we have 9 grandchildren, some of them are on the way to camp somewhere. Some don't live here, but my little Bridget does, and she's going to come up, and we're going to recite a poem together. She says, I'm not exactly a stage person, only, but if you're there with me, then I'll do that. And because all our little ones are our little lambs, the poem came to my mind about William Blake's The Little Lamb. All right. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He becomes a little child. I a child, and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. And it is so unbelievably comforting to know that this shepherd that we talk about in Psalm 23, and John mentioned it, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. And this shepherd does not leave just because I might leave. He is here until the end of days. And he will keep on looking for us. And we set our foot right on that tightrope. And help us to balance our life that so often gets off balance maybe wealth, maybe ego, maybe power, jealousy, lust, sin, whatever you may call it. It is so easy to lose our focus. And then it is comforting for me. I found this poem some time ago. I read it many times. Where art thou? Where are you going, shepherd? To find my sheep. How far will you go? As far as my sheep. How far might that be? To the world's end. How long will you seek it? Until I find it. And when you find it, will it come to you? No, it will flee from you. What will you do then? Where will it go? To the rocks and to the sand. When will it stop? Until it can run no more. What will you do then? Carry it home. I will carry it home. And that is my security. That is my hope for all of us. I am so incredibly grateful for all of you. I would wish I could name all of you because I know your names, nearly all of you. You worked with us for some 38 years. And I've been so grateful to you. You've been home to us for all these years, to my children, to the hard times that we walked through with our little Winnie. Keep on dying and then up again. And the church said, those are not your twins. They're our church, our twins. And how often they were able to sing for you and be with you, all of our children. And we thank you so, so very much. It is true that God often warns us, not in a bad way, but He gives us a sign as to what is coming. I didn't catch it then. It was 2 years ago. When my Tanya at Christmas brought me a beautiful bouquet of white flowers. And those of you who know me know that I want to put them in a vase. This one, it was my wedding gift. And I put it outside in the patio so I can see it from my kitchen window. It was a cold night. And as I come that morning, I see something that absolutely stuns me. I have never imagined it before. And my David put it over here. It is the vase broken, and the shape is about the same, which might be comforting or not so comforting. And I took my pen and I wrote it down. On the potter's wheel it was fashioned, shape and texture well in mind. The heat of the kiln added strength to stand up to the test of time, until the frost of a single night cut it down, to reveal the mystery whose hands in secret had fashioned a vessel beautiful beyond compare. The patterns of which resemble the wings of an angel, fashioned for a world far beyond, a world of life and beauty. Transfiguration in its truest sense. What do I hope for in the life beyond? Actually, I hardly ever think about it, except I think of the words that the man at Jesus' side at the cross says, Jesus, remember me. And Jesus says to him, today you will be with me. That's all I need to know. What it will look like, whom I will see or not see, all that is inconsequential. But I do have Jesus' own words saying, today you will be with me, and when that day comes, I want you to be ready. Something funny. Not too long ago, I was tired of people asking me or asking people, to do that. And it didn't all work, and I tried it out, and I still did dust, and they gave me a remote control, which was a bit better, but it didn't do much for me. And then he said, well, I have a real specialist coming on June the 5th. We can see you then. I said, great. On June the 5th, I'm in the hospital. As the other was a banana. And I say to Ben when I come home, you know what? I don't think I need the hearing aid anymore because when he calls, I think I can hear without the hearing aid. And so for that, I'm also very grateful. And so, thank you. Thank you for being with us all these years. And you know, one more blessing. It keeps on going. I heard where is she? My Lorelei. Here she is. I heard her sing one day, and I don't think I've ever been as touched, because her soul sang. It wasn't the voice so much. It wasn't even the words. It was just her soul that sang. And I said, Lorelei, couldn't you and your husband sing me a song? She said, sure. So I share that song of theirs